How you guys doing? Josh here with Ohio Fish Rescue. Today we are here to bring you yet another project. But first I want to bring you guys up to speed on just a few things. So first things first, we went ahead and split up Vaca from the Frontosa. We didn't want to take no chances, and we gave them a little bit more room quarantining and whatnot. But the Frontosas are doing great. They are not back on the system because they do have to go through the quarantine process. But they are hooked up with this 200-gallon cube right here with all the red jewels, which we will be doing something with here soon. So I wanted to give you that. The Malawi trout is still doing good. He kind of just hangs out in this water stream here. But once they are done quarantined, then we can go ahead and do whatever we do with them. But to bring you up to speed, I'm going to take you guys in here, and we're going to go over just a few things. So as always, we are always doing things. Vaca is back in this tank. We've got a koi and a peacock bass in there. The koi is going outside. It is a butterfly koi. But we have to kind of bring her down in temperature. This peacock bass is doing great. Vaca's doing great. And so is Pittsburgh. We went ahead and added a few fish to the African cichlid tank today. If you guys remember, we had some fish quarantining up here in this top tank. So we had some new fish come in. Let me shut that light out. There we go. To be able to quarantine this new batch, I went ahead and moved the old batch. So there were some African cichlids in here that went into the African cichlid tank, one of the Bellagio's. Now let me see if I can find this one cichlid that was in here. He's out, he's back hiding. But he was super easy to spot, and he was one of the new guys. But I can't really see him right now. But I added 3 in here. And we are getting ready to add about 30 more. So that is coming up. And then you guys know there was also some parrotfish in this tank, which are now in this Bellagio right here. You guys can see, oh, he just ran. There were 2 parrotfish right in that back corner. They are probably about 4 inches or so. So they are not, too big. But that adds 2 more fish into here. You can see the other one poking his head out back there. So we have the Severum, the 2 parrots, the 2 clown loaches, and a fire eel in this tank. So that is 6 fish in here. Now today we went ahead and picked up these 2 monster parrotfish here. One kind of has a black mohawk on him, kind of cool. And then we've got this species of Synodontis here, which will end up going into the Bellagio tank here with the other Synodontis catfish. So that is a cool, neat thing we have going on here. Now, let me go ahead and walk out here, give you guys the last update. You guys can see we have a hose coming out from, well, we have it turned off right now, but we made this homemade contraption here, and it's actually an overflow system to this bucket on the outside. If the inside raises up too high, it's going to start flowing out here. So we're pumping water through all the koi tank here, and it is steadily being fed with fresh water. So as you guys know, I have been teasing you with projects here around the rescue that we've been waiting on parts for. And a couple of those in particularly are this 500, the 700, and the 1000. So before we do the work on the 3000, I want to go ahead and get these tanks up and going so we can disperse some fish in here, and we can use them, and then we can go ahead and fix the 3000. It'll take about a day or 2, and we should be good to go. But today, you guys know we had the paint come in, and I just went up today and I bought a fiberglass kit, because what I'm doing here, you see in the bottom of this 1000, the bulkheads are in, they are all good and tight. Now the only thing left to do on this tank before we paint it is that back corner. You can see there is a hole in the bottom of the tank. That is where the bulkhead used to come through for the drain. So I am going to go ahead and fill that with wood, and then I'm going to go ahead and fiberglass over it, and I'm going to do a few layers. I'm going to show you how I do it as I do it, but we're going to go ahead and get this tank pretty much prepped for paint tomorrow. And then we're going to go ahead and prep this 700 as well, and we don't have to do nothing drastic to this. I'm just going to scrape some of the old paint out where it's flaking off, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a brand new fresh coating so I don't have to worry about this tank for years and years to come. So let's get started. So for starters, first step, I'm going to go ahead and take the vacuum. I'm going to clean all the garbage out from the inside. And before you do any fiberglass work, always make sure you rub down the area with rubbing alcohol and a rag or a towel so you can get any of the residual dirt off the surface you are about to be bonding to. Now you guys are probably asking, what kind of fiberglass did I get? I just went up to the car repair store and got a simple fiberglass kit because it's only a small hole. So this is a 2-foot by 18-inch fiberglass cloth with the resin and the tools to do so, because that is only like a 3-inch hole. So I'm going to do a small strip and then a larger strip over it. And I know you guys have been dying and ask all the time, what kind of paint do we use? Well, here is the paint that we use. It's Interseal 670 HS, and it's a 2-part epoxy, and it is made by International Paint. It is tested, tried, and true. That's what we like using. It's a little bit more expensive, but nonetheless, it gets the job done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get in here and clean this out, and then we will continue on with the video. Alrighty, so I went in there, cleaned everything up, had to scrape off all the old silicone because at the first time I went ahead and took a multi-tool and basically jabbed in at this bulkhead because we cut it off on the bottom to make it sit flat on the stand. So I jabbed it all off. There was a bunch of silicone there. I went ahead and scraped that all up, and we cleaned it with rubbing alcohol on the inside. You can see where everything's clean here, but that left this plastic piece of the bulkhead in between where the top and the bottom was cut off, but that is fiberglass into place. So what we decided to try and do here was make some sort of wood plug that we can go ahead and fiberglass in. So this is what we came up with here. We found a hole saw that was pretty much the size of the hole. We went ahead and cut 2 pucks out, and we're sitting here wood gluing them together now. Once that is done, we are going to have to chisel out a little bit. If you see right there at the bottom of this bulkhead, there's the plastic piece to where your pipe goes in and stops. So either I have to cut that out, or I have to notch this puck to be able to fit in it. But you know what? The easier thing to do is to stick the damn Dremel down in that hole and cut that lip off all the way around. Don't have to deal with the puck, don't have to deal with a bunch of craziness. So we're just going to drop that puck in, and then wherever it lands level with the tank, take a chisel and basically cut it off right then and there. And then you can have a flat surface, you can fiberglass over it, which you do a small, if that's a 3.5-inch hole, I would do a 4-inch by 4-inch strip, and then go after that, I would do a 5-inch by 5-inch, and then whatever your last measurement is, it'll depend on what that back wall is right there and the side wall. I'm going to try and make 3 steps up in sizes so it has 3 different layers of protection. And then once that fiberglass is able to dry overnight, we can go ahead and sand it down and then go ahead and paint the whole tank as one. And I think that'll be good to go. But at the same time, when you're painting this tank, you'll be painting this tank as well, because once you mix this Interseal paint up, which I showed you previously, that has a pot life of about 1 hour. And the way they give it to you from the factory, they give you 0.15 gallons in this little container, and then 0.85 in the big 1-gallon container. You're supposed to mix it all up as one, and then you have an hour to basically paint and use it. So what essentially we could do, I think 1 gallon will essentially do what both of these tanks in one coat. So if we have to go back and do a second coat, we have a 2nd gallon just in case. But we'll see how it looks after the first one. And I could have me painting one and my brother painting the other, so we have less of the pot time to deal with. And this is actually going to be a very messy, dirty job. You guys seen the videos of us painting that 3000 in the fish room. You know the stuff gets everywhere, and it is very fragrant. So you have to work quickly, make it cover. You have to lay it down thick to fill in any of these cracks against the back wall. This tank has been sitting empty for quite some time, and there are hairline cracks in the actual corner of this tank, but that is just the coating. In each corner you can see there's a line going up on each side of the corner here. That's where the corners are fiberglass. Same thing with the bottom. It is actually several coatings of fiberglass. So it is just the paint cracking on top of the fiberglass. Once we sand this down and we go ahead and prep it, we have our new coat of paint on there. It'll be basically good for the next 15-20 years. As long as we don't do it or damage it or drop anything in it, I think it'll be just great. As we did that 3000 and the coatings held up pretty fine in there. Now once that's done, it'll take a day for the fiberglass to dry, and then after that's done, you wipe it down with rubbing alcohol. Then you can start the inner seal paint, and you can go ahead and paint that, and then you can let that dry for 24 hours. I usually do 48 just to be sure, and then we can go ahead and water test it. Hopefully these bulkheads are tight enough on the inside, because we did that dry, but you can always go back and silicone the outside if you really want to. We don't always do that because we rely heavily on the gaskets, so we got 2 new bulkheads here with some fresh gaskets, and you go ahead and plug the inside and the outside. We went ahead and plugged. Actually, I don't think we took the plugs out of the outside because we butted these 2 tanks up together. So it's just plugged from the inside. So that should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for this contraption to go ahead and dry. And I'm going to jump in the tank and use the router to go ahead and take this little notch out. Alrighty, so you can see that the cut on this tank, this back side is a little bit higher than this front side. As you guys probably noticed with the Dremel, I couldn't go all the way around in the circle, but that's just how the tank was made. So we have this piece of puck that was glued together. We went ahead and cut this so it can sit in there flat. Wait a minute. Bring it around. It does have a slope to it. So the larger side and back, smaller up front. Now you can go over it, and it is pretty much perfect. So now, when you guys join us in step 2, you guys will see how we plan to make this puck fill that hole and be watertight. So you guys have a general idea of what we're doing, what we're trying to do. Now in part 2, you're going to see us complete it the rest of the way. You're going to see how we do our fiberglassing and how we actually paint this tank. Well, that actually might be a whole part 3 in itself, painting this whole tank, because that's going to be an all-day job. But you're going to see how we take all this contraption of just parts from the part store and some tools, making that thing watertight and making this an awesome 1,000-gallon aquarium, which might be, what kind of fish are we going to put in here, Dad?
I don't remember that. We were going to put the Frontosa over to 700.
Oh, I didn't spill them beans yet.
Oh,
you just spilled that there. So that tank's that. But this tank here, we were going to do is the same rockscape as the 58,000-gallon pool, and have this basically all of our grow out peacock bass and all the plecostomus.
Yeah, that's right, you did
so
say that.
We can have all the plecos that we have in this tank, the big Adonis, the Serratus, our royal plecos, and basically feed them all of the sinking wafers that the peacock bass won't eat, and then all the leftovers that the peacock bass, they go ahead and attack after, that'll hit to the bottom, and then the plecos will come and basically scoop it all up. I think that'll be a win-win for everyone involved. This is also a tank with a glass front, so the big Donus pleco won't actually scuff it. And exactly. And we tried it in the 3000. He does not suck off the paint, so we are ready to rock and roll with this whole tank. And getting this scaped is actually going to be a river scape, which you guys know we have the driftwood floating in the 58,000, which is right out here. It's a little bit dark now, but we were prepping for that to be part of that scape. And I don't even know what my dad's doing with the Frontosa tanks. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned to see what comes of these awesome tanks. Hope you guys liked today's video. If you guys want to see more crazy adventures with the Ohio Fish Rescue, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, stay fishy, my friends.